order. Why don't we all rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please remain standing for a moment of silence as we honor our service persons, those in uniform, as well as those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk will call the roll.
Kamel.
Here.
Condon.
Condon here.
Crow.
Here.
DeMaria.
DeMaria here.
Linehan.
Linehan here.
Murphy.
Murphy here.
O'Malley.
O'Malley here.
Sika.
Sika here.
Metafora.
Metaphor here.
Winslow.
Winslow here.
Anderson.
Anderson here.
All accounted for.
Okay, under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those in attendance, please be informed that MATV is recording this evening's meeting. And one of our Malden residents, John Mayara, will also be recording. So just be aware that there'll be audio and video recordings of this meeting. And let's move to the first order of business.
Paper 105-21, approval of the minutes of March 2nd, 2021.
We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the
Second.
minutes.
Second.
On Councilor DeMaria's motion that we approve the minutes, seconded by Councilor Condon, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Metafora.
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
These are approved.
Councilors, I'm going to just move something out of order, if you don't mind. I've just moved Bibios La Rochelle, who is our new diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, to say a few words to the City Council. You know, remember that we've had a great deal of discussion about bringing someone on board who's going to be able to help the City of Malden realize its efforts in diversifying and having an inclusionary workforce that represents the population of the city that we serve. Bibios is a Black woman of Haitian descent. She's fluent in Haitian Creole. She brings a variety of her background to this role. She's well positioned to work with each of us and all the hiring managers throughout the city in finding that diverse pool of candidates for the positions that open up. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice Studies and Psychology with a minor in Black Studies from the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth. She's also earned a graduate degree in Crime and Justice Studies. Now, before coming to the city, Bibios worked for the Housing Families as an eviction prevention case manager and has also worked as a probation officer with the trial courts. In all of her previous roles, she has promoted diversity, equity, inclusion, and organized training to address systemic inequities. Bibios is in the process of developing a strategic plan for the city centered on advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and will be contacting each of us councilors. I've already met with her to gather our input, to work with all of the managers and the employees in the organization. So I'm going to ask you, each of you, to let us all put to action the words that we have spoken about our desire to have an even and equitable and a diverse workforce, and do all that we can to help this young woman in our desire to have a good and honest and open workforce. So with that, let me introduce to you all Bibios La Rochelle, who I have just moved from an attendee to a panelist, and I believe you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, Councilor Anderson. That was an amazing introduction. Again, my name is Bibios La Rochelle. I'm the new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. I'm excited to be a part of the Malden team and hope to work with each and every one of you regarding any diversity, equity, and inclusion needs. I do have a strategic plan that I'm working with at the moment with the mayor and Maria to see how we can help the city in regards to diversity. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm very accessible by email, cell phone, or the office phone. Thank you.
Any comments, questions from any of the councilors? Councilor Ryan O'Malley has his hand, the first to have his hand up. Councilor O'Malley, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to welcome you to the city of Malden. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Councilor Crowe.
I too just want to welcome you to the city and look forward to all the work that we can all do together. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Have any of you had a person-to-person contact yet?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Good. Councilor Lenahan.
Thank you, Council President Anderson. Bibios, I just wanted to say welcome. I can't wait to get together virtually, I assume, at first, and then hopefully down the line, maybe for coffee. Definitely familiar with your past work and have been so impressed watching your career trajectory, and am thrilled that Malden was able to scoop you up. So welcome aboard, and can't wait to get to know you even better.
Thank you.
Councilor Spadafora.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. Everybody else, all the other councilors saying the same thing, is welcome aboard. You know, the first couple of days are always the best, and then you got to work on that plan and start putting, pen to paper and then the action. So I know the entire council is pulling for you, and I know there's a lot of great work ahead. Welcome to Malden.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Bibios, a warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for stepping up to Malden and to bring all your experience and expertise to our city. I speak for all the councilors. If there's anything that you need from us at all, every one of us is here to help and assist you with your transition into our community, and we're really honored to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Bibios, I was in City Hall today meeting with Councilor Anderson and some other City Hall employees. I am so sorry I didn't know you were probably in the office right across the hall from me, or I would have come over and said hello and personally introduced myself. Looking forward to seeing you in person, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Councilor Winslow.
So welcome on board. I really looking forward to working with you. I know I'm sit on the Affordable Housing Trust, the council's representative, do a lot of focus on transportation, where I think there's a lot of equity issues we continue to need to work on, as well as doing outreach with Councilor Anderson in terms of public safety and the fire department. So certainly looking forward to participating in the development of a strategic plan, and looking to have you as a great a resource and leader to help our community to deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to join my fellow colleagues in welcoming you, and if there's anything we can do to help make your job a little easier, please feel free to call upon us. Welcome.
Councilor Kamel.
Yeah, at the risk of being redundant, I just want to echo everybody else. Welcome. It's been a long time coming. We've been waiting for a long time, and very happy to have you here. And you're working on some very important stuff, and feel free to reach out to any of us to give you a hand wherever you need it. I'll support you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Councilor
you.
Seeker.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Bibio, I had the pleasure of meeting you last week, so I just wanted to say again, welcome to the city of Malden, and I look forward to working with you as well.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, I don't remember anyone getting this kind of welcome coming into our city. You know, she's not the first new employee that has come to work for us, but the same thing happened at the department head meeting last Tuesday. We all went around the horn and wished her the very best. You know, this is an all hands on deck effort. We've been talking about how what a great city this is and its great diversity, but we haven't realized that in the hiring that we've done in the city of Malden, and so we need to put into action, you know, what our words have been projecting. And so you're hearing all the words. I know that my colleagues here on the council, I know that the department heads are all serious about it, and we're going to all be very happy with the results because we're all pulling in the same direction. So again, thank you for coming in and at such short notice and saying hello. And again, we're right across the hall from you there on the 4th floor at City Hall, and looking forward to working collectively with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, take care. Okay, Mr. Clerk, next order of business.
Paper 106-21, council reappointment, Sheila Famano, 140 West Street, Malden Cemetery Trustee, term to expire March 1st, 2026.
On the paper, Councilor Crowe.
Yeah, can we take the council reappointment sort of in a grouping and leave out 109? That would be good.
109 is, okay, yes. So you want to read them all? Clerk Lucy, please.
Going through them all, because right now, as we still are in virtual mode, we've been reappointing, especially, well, any of the reappointments. And then again, the offer is always open. If anyone has someone they would want to talk to about any subject that's not really related to their reappointment, we will have them in whatever committee I think is appropriate. So I'd rather take the council appointments together and then the mayor's reappointments and leave out 109, but because I believe that would be a bigger discussion.
Okay, yep. So then we have 107-21, council reappointment, Joseph A. Barris, 60 Gale Street, as cemetery trustee, term to expire March 1st, 2025. Paper 108-21, council reappointment, Nathaniel Kramer, 14 MacArthur Circle, Peabody, as assessor, term to expire March 1st, 2024.
And I believe Council O'Malley has a question.
Want me to talk?
I'm not the president, but.
Mr. Lucy, have you finished reading all of those in that category?
On the council reappointments I have.
On the council reappointments. Councilor O'Malley, did you have the floor?
Oh, I wasn't sure if we were doing all of them, so I'm glad we clarified that.
No, we're just pulling the ones that I guess to the council reappointments.
The only other question I had, was there any public comment?
There was not. I didn't get anything.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion that we reappoint, we reappoint Sheila Famano, Joseph Barris, and Nathaniel Kramer.
Second.
Positions.
So on Councilor Crow's motion that we reappoint those three, seconded by Councilor Condon, the clerk will call the roll.
Mel.
Yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Di Maria.
Sorry, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
Yes.
Seeker.
Seeker, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Okay, carries.
So those have all been reappointed by the full city council. Next order of business.
So you're looking to take all the mayoral reappointments next, Council President? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, let's take all the mayoral with the exception and we'll hold off on the controller / CFO for last.
Okay. Paper
So,
110 dash,
Council President, I apologize. May I speak?
You may speak.
I plan on voting against one of the nominees, so I don't know if we want to take them all up at once. I don't want to vote against everyone.
Okay,
Do them individually.
then we will do them individually. Okay. Any objection to doing them individually, councilors? Seeing no objections, Mr. Lucy, former Councilor Lucy, Mr. City Clerk, would you please, all these titles that we go through, I have to get this right. Well, your clerk, Lucy.
I'm clerk.
John McNaught is solicitor, assistant solicitor McNaught. Let's get these titles right, guys. Okay.
So it's paper 110-21, mayor reappointment, Anthony Ciccarelli, 2 Westmere Road, Malden, as Human Resource Director, said term to commence upon his confirmation by the City Council and expire on March 1st, 2024.
Make a motion.
Councilor Crowe. Councilor Crowe moves the reappointment. We have a second.
I'll second.
On Councilor Seeker's motion, a second of that motion, the clerk will call the roll.
Mel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Ellie, no.
Sika,
Dickey, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So Mr. Ciccarelli's appointment has been confirmed. Next order of business.
Paper 111-21, mayoral reappointment, Emery Haskell, 129 Wallace Street, Malden, as the fire commissioner, said term to expire March 1st, 2024.
I make a motion to reappoint Emery Haskell.
Second.
On Councilor Crow's motion, seconded by Councilor Condon, the clerk will call, any discussion? No discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Dickey, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So Emery Haskell has been reappointed as the fire commissioner. Next order of business.
Paper 112-21, mayoral appointment, Erica Lotz, 57 Newman Road, Malden, as a member of the Department of Public Works Commission, said term to commence upon her confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2024.
I make a motion.
Councilor Crow's motion to confirm, seconded by
Second.
Councilor DeMaria. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Mel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Erica Lotz has been reconfirmed by the City Council. Next order of business.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
You may.
Councilman, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but is it okay to group the rest of them together, or do you want to still continue?
No, I have one other person I'm going to vote against.
Let's just keep going through.
Got it.
Paper 113-21, mayoral reappointment, Mark Joseph Snyder, 103 Boardman Avenue, Melrose, Mass, as a constable to serve a process in the city of Malden, said term to expire March 8, 2022.
On Councilor Crow's motion that we confirm, we have a second.
Second.
second by Councilor Condon. Any discussion? The clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Mark Snyder has been reconfirmed by the City Council. Next order of business.
Paper 114-21, mayoral reappointment. Adam Sherwin, 31 Greenwood Street, Malden, as the legal member of the Zoning Board of Appeal. Said term to commence upon the confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2024.
Bless you, whoever that was.
Make a motion to reconfirm Adam Sherwin.
On Councilor Crow's motion to confirm, seconded by,
Second.
don't all speak up at once now.
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilor DeMaria. Any discussion? The clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So that appointment has been confirmed by the full City Council. Next order of business.
Paper 115-21, mayoral reappointment, Kathleen Young, 70 Essex Street, Malden, as a member of the Register of Voters Board. Said term to commence upon the confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2024.
Make the motion to reconfirm.
On Councilor Crow's motion that we reconfirm this appointment, seconded by Councilor Condon. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Kathleen Young has been reconfirmed by the full City Council. Next order of business.
Paper 116-21, mayoral reappointment of Eric McCush, 101 Hill Street, Malden, as a member of the Planning Board. Said term to commence upon confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2026.
Motion to reappoint Eric McCush.
Second it.
On Councilor Crow's motion that we reconfirm Eric McCush to the Planning Board, seconded by Councilor Condon. Any discussion? No discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, no.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Eric McCush has been reconfirmed by the full City Council. Next order of business.
Paper 117-21, mayoral reappointment, Diane Shua, 19 Marion Street, Malden, as a member of the Planning Board. Said term to commence upon confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2026.
Motion to reconfirm.
On Councilor Crow's motion to reconfirm
Seconded.
Diane Chua, seconded by Councilor, was that Condon?
O'Malley.
O'Malley, by Councilor O'Malley. The clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So Diane Chua has been reappointed to the Planning Board by the full City Council. Next order of business.
Paper 118-21, a Class 2 license, Joe Champ of Auto Body, Inc., 322 Eastern Ave, 4 cars. It's a renewal.
Move to license.
On Councilor Condon's motion that we refer this petition to the License Committee. Clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Pro,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Ellie, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That license has been referred to committee. Next order of business.
Paper 119-21, order that the 2021 city preliminary and election calendar be amended, changing the last date to obtain nomination papers from the city clerk's office from July 22nd to July 23rd.
Mr. Lucy, can you tell us why we're moving that date?
I can. So when we made the original schedule and it was approved by the council, we closed Friday. So we used July 22nd as the last day, which is a Thursday. When we submitted to the state, they said we had to go back and use the Friday date. So the city clerk's office will be open until 5 o'clock on July 23rd.
Okay. Understand. It's under my name as responsible. We need a motion by Councilor O'Malley.
Second.
Councilor O'Malley, was that your motion?
I will make that motion, but I would also like to ask a question.
Councilor O'Malley has the floor.
What is that because Fridays count as business days for us, even though
So when you do the election schedule, everything's like 20 days out here. You know what I mean? There's certain time schedules. So when we made the calendar up, we just used Thursday the 22nd because, we're closed Friday. So, so we will have to be open. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
So Councilor O'Malley, you've moved that paper favorably. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilor Winslow has second. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Pro,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley,
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So that order has been adopted by the full city council to move it to the July 23rd. Next order of business.
Paper 120-21, order that the city of Malden post pictorial signs informing residents to not litter and to pick up pet waste.
On the paper, Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you. So, Chair or Council President Anderson, one of the main complaints I get is that pet owners around the community are not picking up after their pets. I think that we are all familiar with, dog feces and other feces all around the city. It attracts rats. We have a huge rat problem. And I do think that it's important that we put up signage that reminds people, one, not to litter, and two, to pick up after their pets. I'm sure you all know I own a dog. I'm a pet owner. And I know there are a lot of very responsible pet owners like Councilor Crow and Councilor Murphy. But I do think that, with a lot of new pet owners living in the city, particularly in the downtown, we don't have a lot of dog parks. There's really not a lot of places for dogs to play. They end up using our streets as a place. And oftentimes that waste is not being picked up. I do think that, considering the fact that we have a lot of English language isolation, it would be ideal for the signs to be pictorial in nature. So they could include some language, but I do think it's also really important that there are pictures to kind of show what we're asking, so it's very clear. Don't litter. Probably a guy or a woman or a person throwing trash into a barrel, and then obviously like a poop with a no in it. I think that would be pretty effective in terms of what we're asking. Did I have it on there as a resolve? Or is it?
You have it as an order.
You have it as an order.
I would be willing in Ward 4 to put up my ward funds to pay for these signage. I know that Councilor Sika through the chair, I know we bought a fancy printer. I don't know if we've ever used it. Maybe we could use that printer to make these signs. So I guess I'd ask through the chair, does Councilor Sika know how we could use that to maybe save us some money and do this in-house?
I don't know how to use it, but they do have a printer, so we can reach out to the traffic department. But can I ask a question, Council President? Are you looking to put these throughout the entire city on every street?
I think that, one a block, maybe two a block. I think that not necessarily everywhere, maybe areas where we're having particular trouble. I would want them pretty extensively in the downtown, mostly because we are having a pretty difficult litter and feces issue.
Let's go to a few other, are you all set, Councilor Sika?
For now, yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Let's go to the councilors who have their hands up. Councilor Winslow, you're next.
Yeah, I know I worked with Councilor Murphy. There were some issues of consistent dumping along the bike path, and we already have a multilingual litter thing, and I actually think it's been effective. This is the first year we've had them, and often over the winter there was a lot of dumping on the trail, especially near the gardens, and it really did cut it back, despite the skepticism of our public works people. So we have, it's in English, simplified Chinese, and Spanish, as well as with a graphic. And I think it's been effective. So that's certainly something we could be willing to share. We did buy that through a vendor rather than through our making it or something else, but it's been very effective. So I'm certainly supportive of this idea. And the more word we get out, but sometimes there's skepticism about signs, but I think we did find it in instances, people don't always realize you're not supposed to just go out and throw trash wherever. So sometimes those were targeted places we knew dumping was going on. And I think it's had an impact. So I'm certainly supportive of this thing.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've had the same issue with pet waste. I think a couple of other councils on my residence.
You can come down. What's that?
It's down near, usually near the school. That's been. I think one of the things extensively. I think one of the problems that when you say, I understand along the bike path, maybe a couple of other areas.
I don't think so.
But when you have, the person throwing trash into the basket, usually you have a trash barrel there. So, I think in some way we got to really kind of think that through, and really where strategically we could put things around. I could see, it happens a lot of places with the pet waste. It always seems to be a big issue, well, in my estimation, around the parks after the winter. I think it almost seems like people think the snow's going to melt, and so is the feces going to go away with it, and that's sort of the way you see it all. So I do think it needs. I like the idea, but I think too many signs, people just sort of start ignoring. So I do think maybe some strategically placed signs would be sort of a better way to go. And I'm not sure what the printer can do, or if those signs just will be coming down and we need something a little more permanent, and I don't know the sign that Councilor Murphy and Councilor Winslow put up. If that's effective, do we use that as a template?
Thank you, Councilor.
The idea.
Yeah, we obviously all see the problem with pet owners who are not being good neighbors and allowing their pets to dump feces all over the place. That's a real problem throughout our entire city, and we need to do something about that. Councilor Crowe, you're absolutely right when it comes to people thinking that when the snow melts, it's supposed to also melt away the feces, and that certainly doesn't happen. And everyone sees all the trash and litter and feces and everything else that is made itself revealed after the snow melts. But obviously, this is a paper that is going to need some more discussion, and some more fine tuning, no matter where it goes. So I would expect that the idea is for this to go to a committee for some more discussion, but let us continue on with Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I do want to, at least support the thought process for Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Crowe actually and myself got an email, and I think it's everywhere around parks. I think, as a puppy owner now, right, you got to be responsible. So, one of the things I was going to look at doing too is also looking at the ordinances to make the violations a little bit stronger and heftier. You certainly don't want to just punish people, but I think we do have to come out with an education system and remind people as a warm weather gets here, they have to be responsible for their dog. And I did reach out to Kevin, the dog catcher, our famous dog catcher, and asked him to start at least patrolling the park areas and reminding people, their responsibility. And also, we do got to get the barrels back in the park. That's another one of the challenges. So I think it's a combination of everything. It's still no excuse, but I think it's certainly pertinent right now, given what's going on, and I think the increase of puppies. I think they say it's like 400% in the United States. People have gotten dogs, and I'm one of them. So I just wanted to support the idea and certainly work in many facets to improve the sanitation of the city from dog waste. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Lenahan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I do not have a dog currently, but I, like Councilor Spatafora, have heard a ton about people getting them during the pandemic and how there's a lot of education that's happening all over the place now in terms of people either trying to get into obedience classes or just kind of trying to figure out what is this all about now that I've got this rambunctious dog. I didn't know what I was getting into. I definitely think assuming people's good intent is a good way to approach it and making it easier for them to dispose of the stuff the right way. My main question was actually going to be if we had any model that we could use anywhere around the city. So I'm really encouraged to hear that we do. I would also be willing to put up some ward funds to deploy some of these in a few of the hotspot areas that I get a lot of complaints. I know, as others have said, the parks are definitely problematic. But I think, this time of year, it's top of mind for a lot of people as things melt and a lot of the stuff that's been underneath rises to the surface. So if we have some discussion about this, I'd love to see examples of what other signs are. And maybe even if we could price out some of those little dog waste stations that have, like the sign at the top with a pole and those little miniature baskets. I know that's more work to collect, but it could be just another incentive that, tells people like, please put it right here. If it's near other barrels that are being picked up anyway, maybe that's something that we could discuss and wouldn't make a lot of extra work, for our city staff. So happy to have a further discussion if this goes to committee. But I think it's a very worthwhile discussion to have and definitely something that my constituents complain about a lot. So happy to talk about solutions.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I briefly say that I think we all know where our spots are where people take their dogs. I got Dever, I got O'Connell Delta, I got Waden Delta up here, top of Charles Street and Callahan Park. And if I could just get signs up on those 4 or 5 spots, I'd be quite happy, and we'd put a good dent in it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you, Mr. President. I totally support this. While I do not have a pet, I took a walk with Al Sunday, and it was a very colorful walk because apparently these little bags come in colors, and I personally counted 12 bags on the ground. So, and it really wasn't a long walk. So I very much support this, and I think the sooner the better. Thank you to the sponsor.
Okay. Councilor O'Malley, again, go right ahead.
I hear that there's some desire to, work it out in terms of what these signs look like, maybe being able to repurpose some existing signs. Councilor Linehan, I know you have your hands full in public properties because of all of the small cells, but would you mind taking one more thing on and maybe we can discuss it in that committee?
We're the hottest ticket in town now. Why not? One more thing.
So I would move that we refer this paper to public properties for more discussion.
Second.
That's fine. Before we have a motion and a second, but before we do that, we have Councilor Murphy who would like to speak.
Yes, as a very long time dog owner, very really without a dog. I think the biggest problem about the waste is one that Councilor Linehan just touched on. And Councilor DeMaria kind of inadvertently touched on by talking about the bags that are left there, even in the woods. I mean, even, you know, I hike every day and I see in the middle of the woods the colorful plastic bags that someone has probably meant to pick up on their way out, but didn't because they didn't want to carry it through all the trails. So I don't think signage alone works. I really do think that it's an approach where it's signage, but you need some place to dispose of what your dog has left behind. Many people walk and take it home, but I know, and I'm sure many of you do, if you've put a recycling bin out or a trash bin out on trash day and it's emptied, you might come home and find a little present by somebody who had walked by and just deposited their little bag in your container. So I think there's a greater discussion that needs to happen here. And we also need to involve the DPW, not just for pickup, but I know I actually rent to a doggy daycare, and they have to have a special truck come to pick up the waste. It can't be incorporated. It's not supposed to be incorporated with your regular trash. So I think we need to find out if we do have these doggy waste stations, you know, what's the disposal associated with them? Is it something that, you know, DPW can handle within the current contract, or is there another mechanism that needs to be employed to actually dispose of the waste? There's a number of, I walk in a park up in Salisbury, and they do have those stations, and it's great. They have little bags, and as you walk through the woods, you can come back and you can, you know, take care of it. And that park seems to stay extremely clean because of those stations. So I think it's a big discussion that we need to have as we move forward, along with other dog parks. I know Councilor Anderson, you may be thinking of looking at a dog park maybe in your area.
I'm not too.
You know, I think that you know, it's our companions, our four-legged friends are here to stay with us, and they give us a lot of comfort and companionship. And I think we need to look at our city and decide, how do we make living with four-legged friends more appropriate for our community as a whole? So, but referring this to committee to have a future discussion on, I think is a great way to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, from the chair, let me say that there's a number of things that we need to be doing collectively here. And one of those, while I totally support this, I want to see this go to a committee where we can have some more discussion about it. But I'd like to shut off my phone here. And I'd like to suggest that we also need to give some additional resources to our animal control officer. You know, Kevin Alkin is only so many hours per week is he on duty, and he's not there the weekends, he's not there at night, he's not there many of the hours that people are violating these good neighbor rules. We need to find resources for that, and those resources shouldn't be someone who shows up with a badge and a gun to help them, but we need to have somebody else helping to patrol and enforce some of these regulations. So I hope that as we're looking at the signage and what kind of signs are appropriate, we also look at what other kind of resources can be made available to help out in this endeavor. So I see one other hand raised. I see Councilor O'Malley. Again, before we pass this off to the, what is that, Public Property Committee? Is that what you're suggesting? But go ahead, Councilor O'Malley, you get the floor once again.
I was just going to agree with you, Council President Anderson, about the support for these type of nuance, you know, quality of life discussions that we're talking about. And I don't know if maybe you could help. I asked a while back the city solicitor's office to help explain what the process is for deputizing someone to be able to give tickets. Maybe that's something that we need to understand if we're going to be doing, you know, ticketing without necessarily involving, you know, armed police officers, as you indicated.
On the motion to refer this paper to public property, seconded by Councilor Linehan, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That paper has been referred to the Public Property Committee. Next order of business.
Paper 121-21, order be it hereby ordained that the revised ordinances 2020 be amended to create a Department of Planning and Economic Development. And Councilor Crowe did ask to be a sponsor, added to the sponsor of the paper.
On the paper. Who's going to speak on the paper? Councilor Spatafora, is that you?
I can speak if it's okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're the first sponsor. Go right ahead, Councilor O'Malley. I'm sorry.
So this definitely, I don't want to take credit for this paper by any means. This is the hard work of Ron Hogan and the administration and Deb Burke from the MRA collaborating on how to reconcile and combine the city of Malden with the MRA. And it's related to a paper that was sponsored before the summer in 2020. If I remember correctly, it was Councilor Sika, Councilor Spatafora, Councilor Kamel, and Councilor Winslow and I who sponsored that paper. So that you'll see here, there's a few different ordinances that are attached. It's basically, a memorandum of understanding and how are we going to change our ordinances and match and align our pay scales to make this work. A lot of great work has been done, and it would be great to dive into this in the Ordinance Committee.
We can't hear you, Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, we lost you.
You're muted.
You couldn't read my lips? Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I support the paper. I'd like to be added as a sponsor. I know when this came up last year and the resolve that we passed, I think it's a long time coming, and it will be good to support this, bring this to rules and ordinance and discuss how to make sure this can all go ahead. Thanks.
Very good. Councilor Spatafora?
Yeah, I apologize. My mute button was stuck. Council O'Malley did a great segue to it. I just want to, again, just make sure that we recognize, the financial team led by Ron Hogan and Debbie Burke from the MRA. I mean, dovetailing these two organizations together, as Mr. Hogan has explained to us, is not going to be probably an easy or pretty task in terms of financial. There are some impacts to us, but certainly these ordinances start to begin that discussion and finally getting those two organizations or the two entities to become somewhat one entity. And it's a delicate process. There's personnel involvement. There is certainly a financial impact. There's a lot of topics that need to be covered, but it's a great first step towards modernizing our platform and really taking the benefits of the MRA into the realm of the city of Malden. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Linehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I was very happy to co-sponsor this. This to me is just one of the most important things that we're going to be working on, this year. I think we've all seen what the MRA has stepped up to be able to help us do in collaboration with the administration and City Hall to respond to the pandemic. And, I think we have a really once in a lifetime opportunity to try to get this as right as we can. And for a city the size of Malden to finally be grappling with having the size of planning and economic development department that we probably should have always had, or at least for the past few decades should have had. I think it's an amazing step that we're taking. And I have had the privilege of being on the MRA board before joining the council, and I always thought that there was so much beneficial that the MRA did that the community didn't always know about. I think that's less the case now because they've had a lot of headlines, and what they're doing is front and center and helping people in their day-to-day life. For me, of course, the ordinance work is foundational to getting where we want to go. But I think to the extent that we can think about the future and where we want to go as a city and put in place the personnel to get there, and of course, make the tough financial decisions that are going to go into supporting that, I think it'll pay dividends down the line. We'll be well positioned to make better planning decisions and economic development decisions for the future of the city. So I'm really excited that we're doing this, and I'm really possibly to a very nerdy degree excited to dig into the minutia on this. So happy to get it started.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. President. And yes, I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor. I mean, we have talked for many years about how the MRA could be combined within the city. I do want to give the MRA kudos for all the work they have done over the past couple of decades with the revitalization efforts that you see around the city, down Commercial Street, et cetera. They have been an incredible organization that has done justice by the city of Malden. And I know they will continue to work cohesively as they always have with the city of Malden. But I think this will give us a much more organized platform to be able to marshal all of the resources to move forward with all of the directives and decisions and ways we want to move forward. So Mr. Clerk, if you would add me as a sponsor, I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the sponsors for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Condon?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too would be like to be added as a sponsor, but I'd like to encourage anybody involved with integrating the MRA employees with our city departments to maybe look into, if it's possible, to possibly offer an early out to MRA employees so that maybe we can reduce the number of people that have to be integrated into our city departments. It's just a thought. So that's how I feel about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kamel?
Yeah, likewise, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. This is a great move for the city, and it helped modernize what our government's doing for
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor DiMaria?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, please add my name as a sponsor as well. I'd be very grateful. I do have to say that I'm cautiously optimistic with this move. I think this is the way to go. This is a good progression for our community. The only thing that I would again say is to be very, very mindful with the employees in, from the Malden Redevelopment Authority to, our champion Kevin Duffy in the economic development position, that we all, when we blend, we blend with the thoughts of our employees. So thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome, Councilor. Councilor O'Malley?
I just wanted to, I apologize, Councilor Kamel, I left you off of the original sponsoring earlier. You were also part of that original sponsor list, so I apologize for that. And I just want to formally refer it to ordinance for further discussion.
Thank you, Councilor. From the chair, I've had the benefit of seeing the Redevelopment Authority go through a number of different leaders and evolution of that body has really done some wonderful things for us here in the city. We need to make the best of what they have to offer. There are some challenges. We've got a lot of real estate that we've got to be thinking about assuming and the costs associated with that. We've got to look at the cost, look at the upside, look at the liabilities that we have. But overall, we need to do the best we can for the MRA. Its authority and what it is that it does for the city of Malden and what we need to do for ourselves here. So I'm all in support. Like the rest of you, I join in co-sponsoring the paper, and I'm glad to have the paper referred on to committee for further discussion. And that's the motion by Councilor O'Malley, and that has been seconded by Councilor DiMaria, and the clerk will call the roll.
Mel.
Mel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DiMaria.
DeMaria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That paper has been referred to the committee. Next order of business.
Paper 122-21, order be it hereby ordained, no, I just read, oh no, I'm right. Be hereby ordained that the revised ordinances of 2020 be amended by updating section 2.24.050 of the Police Superior Office Salary Schedule per attached, and Council Seeker asked to be a co-sponsor.
No, that's
On-
not,
That's not it?
no. That's the next one.
Council Spatafora for the paper.
Clerk, can you just tell me which one you read so I make sure I said the right one?
Yeah.
Superior offices,
Superior Office.
salary schedule.
122-21.
Yeah, so this is referred to ordinance. So this is part of, I don't want to say a normal course of business, but every time, just for the benefit of the people watching from home, the way any type of raise inside the city works is the raise has to match the ordinance, so the ordinances then pertain to the raise. So what has happened is the mayor has met and agreed upon a new contract for the Superior's Officer Union. That has been agreed upon by the mayor's office and the financial team. And now what we need to do is take that paper. We need to change the ordinance to reflect that update. So this is going to be referred to ordinance. And I just want to put a footnote. I did ask Mr. Ranigan if he wanted to go to finance or joint meeting. He said, no, we don't need to do that. So just please, the recommendation is to refer to finance so that we can agree upon changing the language. Excuse me, ordinance. Thank you, Councilor. So the recommendation is to go to ordinance.
Second,
We have a second. We have a motion to refer to ordinance, seconded by Councilor Sika. The clerk will call the roll.
Kamal,
Kamal, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Damn mute. Sorry. Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That paper is referred to the ordinance committee. Next order of business.
Paper 123-21, resolved that the Malden City Council resume live meeting in the council chamber, allow council president to work with the public facility director to plan for social distancing and to secure petitions as an increased component for overall safety protocols. Council meetings will continue to be broadcast via Zoom and MATV and UMA. Council Seeker asked to be co-sponsor of this paper.
On the paper, Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I think this paper speaks for itself, Mr. President. I also, the paper after it is the paper, if this does not fail, if this one is not passed or at least voted out in a favorable motion, the next paper would be asking that we have all the City Hall employees act like we do. Personally, I think it is time to get back to the council chamber. I will be completely honest with everybody. I was a little bit shocked to see the chamber, and it's not a reflection of them. I did talk to Councilor Anderson to be the chamber being used by the Cannabis Committee. I'm glad they got to use it. I know there were some challenges there, but that's the point of trying to do these things earlier. But I would have very much liked to see the council have the ability to break that chamber in. I believe, and I couldn't confirm this today, we would be the only body other than the school committee not to be in session, meaning the fire, police, the schools will be in session very soon. And we will be probably, besides us and the school committee, the only body that is not at least going into the physical locations in the very near future. So I feel that this body should get back to City Hall. It's a great building. I've actually gone in the building 3 or 4 times last week to have some meetings, and it's new ventilation system. It was meant for that. I also believe we are humans. We need to work in some type and connect in a social manner. There's interdependencies too. I don't know. Listen, I work remote every day and I can't wait to get back to the office. It's coming soon, but I also feel the challenges both in my professional life and in municipal government. I have to rely on their meeting schedules, even with the ability of technology. It was hard to work on a paper I'm working on with a couple of the financial people there. It was tough. And I think the ability to waiting on delayed communications or scheduling meetings remote is not always that easy. And I think that face-to-face communication, whether it be with myself or another counselor or the clerk, it cannot be replicated remote. And finally, you know, is that thing that they're talking about now in the professional world. They call it spontaneous communication or casual collisions. And that's when you bump into somebody in the hallway and you start talking about a topic. That does not happen remote. And there are some jobs that I personally feel that you cannot do 100% remote. This is one of them. So if it doesn't pass, then I will ask, you know, that the council should then then make the same thing for the rest of the city hall, because we're asking them to go to work every day. We're asking the teachers to go to work every day. We're asking the firemen to go, and the police and the planning board's been meeting. So I don't think we should be any better than them. And I think there is a little bit of symbolic gesture. And I'm ready to, you know, start meeting in person. And then finally, I think, you know, we do have to realize we are still in a pandemic. I know that Eric Rubin has worked with Sinot to already get glass to be temporarily installed between each councilor's seat, so that we can wear our mask, as well as having a glass partition. I know some pictures were submitted the other day, and I think we still have to take the precautions. But I think it would be great for this body to get back and meet in person. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council. I don't see any other hands raised at this point, but I would say from the chair that I started talking to the mayor about this a month and a half or so ago, about the idea of having the council come back, because I want that to happen, as well as the school committee. I've been talking with Eric Rubin, like Councilor Spatafora, like you have said. I was able to witness the barriers that he has down. He's got one sample down there. It's a plexiglass, almost like what you see at the Stop and Shop at the cashier, that it sticks out about a couple of feet beyond the table that we sit at, the bench that we sit at, so that communications between two councilors sitting together is blocked by the plexiglass, to make sure that we do the social distancing and are aware of our need to not be spreading germs with one another. So I'm all in support of this. I think we've got a beautiful council chambers with all of the electronic doodads and modern electronic equipment down there that we need to be using. And so I'm hoping that the rest of the councilors feel as enthusiastic about this as I do. So I see a few hands that are raised. Councilor O'Malley's first to speak. Go ahead, Councilor O'Malley.
I just want to.
The floor is yours.
Council President Anderson, are there any other boards in this, or commissions in the city, that have more members in the city council? Or to the sponsor? Are there any other boards or commissions that have more members in the city council?
I don't know the number of the planning board. The number of the planning board might be 9. 9, exactly 9.
I think we're the largest deliberative body. And then I think that the school committee and the planning board are probably second with 9 members. And, you know I personally have not had a chance to be vaccinated yet. I won't get into my family's dynamic, but they're not all fully vaccinated yet either. So I do know, I don't know how many city councilors have been vaccinated so far, but that's a luxury that not all of us have. And we don't know yet whether or not vaccinated individuals can still spread COVID-19. So I would not be comfortable going in until I'm vaccinated, which looks like it's going to happen pretty soon. They just rolled out the pre-registration portal surprisingly well. And the other side of it, without being controversial, the other side of it is, what we did learn from CLEC, and this is no criticism of CLEC itself or our staff. The sound was horrible. No one, the public couldn't hear what they were saying. And one of the benefits that I've heard from this type of setup is that people can actually hear us now, when before they usually had a difficult time hearing us. I'm not ready to go back yet. But I do hear what you're saying on your other paper. If there are any employees, and I talked to the public facilities today, if there are any employees in our city hall that don't feel like they are safe, or have like a autoimmune disease or something else that could make them more susceptible, they should be talking to their manager and asking for a opportunity to work from home. Their safety and the safety of their family should not be put on the line. Lastly, in the offices, I think that they try their best to stay at least 6 feet away from each other. That is not possible at our dais. So I think it would be really important that we first all get vaccinated before we meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council DiMaria.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that this paper is a wonderful attempt of continuity with our government. I think it's really important. I personally miss each and every one of you. I think that is definitely our goal. I'm just not sure right now if this month is the time. We just received correspondence from Maria Louise today that there's an additional 104 cases in Malden, and it seems to have spiked 104. And I think she sent us an email, maybe the end of last week. So that seems to be quite a lot. So I've been vaccinated. I'm very happy. It was just such a relief to receive the Pfizer vaccination, both of them. But I do understand that not everybody on this body has been vaccinated. And that would be, the caution that I would suggest. So maybe, once we accomplish that, I definitely think we got to get back. I think that's very, very important. But I do think there's a couple more steps, almost like what the school committee did last night. They're pushing back a little bit with the children going back to school because of, situations with size and space, etc. So I think it's the right, destination to get to that point. This week, next week, I really caution that. So I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, if it was just about my personal feelings and risk about COVID, I have less concern. But I think each of us, and as being someone who's not eligible yet to be vaccinated, and have worked very hard to live in a bubble with people at risk, there is some personal decision here. My family didn't get elected to public office to take risks. And I think the balance of, I think that's something that needs to be considered. I certainly want to, and I think we've deferred. I know counselors, especially, counselors that are older, to be honest, we all knew that there was a lot of risks there. And that was a key reason why we wanted to make sure we delayed that. Personally, I think I would trust Council President Anderson to talk to all of us and make the decision himself like he could. I trust Council President Anderson to work with all of us and make the decision as Council President to when he feels comfortable. And I think there should be possibly some flexibility for people who, in their family situation, may be living with people at risk that have not been vaccinated. So that would be, I just prefer to rely on the wise guidance of Councilor Anderson rather than put us in a situation to have to put a public vote out here. I think that's why we have a Council President, and the Council President, typically they set time and agenda. So I would really defer to Council President Anderson rather than having a public vote and having to have people try to make a decision between the politics and the needs of their family. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would very much echo what Councilor Winslow was saying. You may remember that back in the fall, I had filed an order compelling us to stay remote until the state of emergency was lifted or something along those lines. And what I heard loud and clear from my colleagues is that that was overstepping in a way that didn't place the proper trust in our council president, and that we voted almost unanimously to table that and to put that in the hands of our council president. And I find Councilor Anderson to be very effective communicator so far this year. I think, you know, we are all in different, you know, modes of life right now in terms of whether we have small children at home who go to public school, who don't go to public school, whether they're hybrid, remote, whether we've got elderly family members living with us or people that we take care of that haven't been vaccinated. You know, I think I will say, as someone who's in basically the last eligible category, it feels like it's far away, but also going to be here so soon. I'd hate to see us put money into, for example, a plexiglass or glass divider in this brand new chamber now, if in a month or a month and a half or 2 months, we could be allowed to go back without those and mask up, or, you know, take other precautions that would allow us to not have to outlay that money to retrofit the chamber in a way that if we just waited until we had everybody vaccinated, which it sounds like could take place, you know, in May, maybe we start to have the conversation then. It seems like right now does not feel like the right time to try to put a body of this size, this is my personal opinion, back in the chamber, particularly having watched the CLEC meeting, which, you know, kudos to them for trying it and being kind of that guinea pig. What I saw, though, was that it was almost impossible to hear what they were saying, and they're half the size of us. So they were spread out, you know, in a way that we won't be able to if we're all up there in our seats the way it's designed. So, you know, to my mind, preserving some of the public's ability to engage with our meeting as we start to go down this very awkward hybrid path is going to be important. I would love some more information about how we would make the Zoom component work, assuming that if we're there in person, the public can't also be there. You know, how are we going to preserve their ability to give public comment or to listen to the meeting? There's just a lot of variables. For me, it doesn't feel like right now is the right time, but I would put that trust in our council president to have that conversation with us and move towards a plan to get us back. Because I do agree that it's critically important to relationship building, although I don't agree that we're not doing our jobs if we're remote. If anything, I feel like I'm going to more meetings now because everybody knows it's just a matter of zooming in during the day. You know, nobody asked me to leave downtown Boston to come to a 10 a.m. meeting, but now it's like almost every day they know you can dial in. And maybe that's a good thing that we preserve that ability to keep people's personal lives, you know, less interrupted and able to go to these city meetings that help us do our council jobs better. But, you know, for my money, I think I've been working harder than I ever did when we were in person, and I would love to go back, but also to do it the right way. So with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Council. Council Condon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's time to go back. But also, in the same respect, I have absolutely no problem if there's some people that feel uncomfortable and they want to be at that meeting remotely. I'm sure that could be accomplished, where if 8 or 9 of us feel comfortable going, being separated by plexiglass, and there's 3 or 4 other people that want to do it remotely, we should be able to do that. I mean, to be honest with you, I look at it like this. If I can go to a casino and be separated by plexiglass from machine to machine, and nothing has happened yet, I don't see why it should happen in our city council chamber. So I have no problem going back to city council. But like I said, if people are uncomfortable, do it remotely. You know, and this shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, just a couple of comments. As someone who sat on the building committee, plexiglass was not even part of a discussion when we were building out City Hall. And the entire City Hall has been retrofitted with plexiglass. So retrofitting the council chamber, I think, is the expense is it's appropriate, because I think this is something we're going to be living with for not till just we all get vaccinated, but with the variants that are out there, that's something we're going to be living with for a significant amount of time. and it can't stop our daily lives. So putting in the plexiglass, I think, is a minor cost that we can absorb in order to get us back to meeting in person. I personally, and the other thing is, the vaccines, even though we talk about them, the longevity of the actual antibodies that are produced by the vaccine is in question as to, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? You get fully vaccinated and 3 months later, not necessarily have the antibodies you need to protect you. So putting that plexiglass in is extremely important. I personally could not bring myself to say we as a council are not going back and look at all of the employees that work for our city government, that are in there on a daily basis with different people coming in, guests, visitors, etc. All of their, workforce. I mean, it's an open plan in all of those department rooms. So, everyone's in really close proximity, their desks, etc. We, on the other hand, there's 11 of us, and our clerk and our clerk of committees that would be in a room isolated without visitors, 1 day a week, versus the city employees we require going in 4 days a week. I just don't see how we can hold ourselves different from the folks that we ask to go in and do their job every day. I mean, I went into Market Basket the other day in Revere, and honestly, I was like, whoa. I mean, I feel bad for those cashiers. They're faced with people coming in by hordes every day with a little plexiglass piece in front of them, making probably minimum wage. I think we either need to kind of, call it, or say, everybody should stay home, because I don't think we're more special than all the employees that we ask to do their job every day. So if this comes to a vote this evening, I will vote in favor of returning to the council chamber in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sika?
Thank you, Council President. Wow, Councilor Murphy, I have to go after that. I think that you were amazing. I think everything that you said, I agree wholeheartedly with. I don't think that some of us should be coming back in person, and some of us should be doing it hybrid, Councilor Anderson. I think if we're going to do it, it needs to be all in or nothing. I think it'll be too confusing to have some councilors in and some councilors out. I struggle with not going back, because we have teachers, we have our fire department, we have our police officers, we have our grocery workers, everybody that has been working throughout this whole pandemic that were not vaccinated up until the last couple of months. They have been working this whole entire time. We have had the luxury of doing these meetings from our homes. I think that we need to now get back in. We're having our children go back to school. We have teachers who have 11 or 12 students, little kids that don't necessarily leave their mask on like they're supposed to. If us adults can go in for a couple of hours a week with masks and plexiglass, I am in full support of getting back into the council chamber. We really need to be back. It's been a year. It's time. I don't think we should waste any longer. I think we need to get back in, vaccinated or not. Councilor O'Malley last week had mentioned that, some people might have skipped the line. That I don't know who he was referring to, but nobody that I know that shouldn't have gotten the vaccine got the vaccine. Maybe somebody that he knows jumped the line. That I just don't know. I think it's a poor excuse for us to wait for vaccines when people have been working this whole entire pandemic. I think that we need to get back and get this business done. I would hate to think that our city employees and all of our departments think that we're better than them because we are going to continue to do remotely while they're all going in person. like Barbara said, 40 hours plus a week. Some of them have been working over 40 hours a week because this whole pandemic has them, you know, behind or whatever. So I think that we should get back in person as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I see Councilor O'Malley's got his hand up for the second time. Anyone who hasn't spoken wish to speak? Anyone who hasn't weighed in, have given their opinion, I'd be glad to, since a couple of you councilors have suggested that you're going to leave it to the council president to finally make a decision. Councilor Crew, you have not spoken and you're up there. Go right ahead.
Mr. President, I think we can go back safely. I do think, you know, having Councilor Anderson work with the public facilities, you know, I run a nonprofit and we've been doing remote learning supports. Well, even before then. So we've been in work right through. All of my staff have been in since June. And again, through the whole school year, we have been running remote learning support hubs. So all the staff and we follow strict safety and health and safety protocols. I think if we have those in place with the plexiglass, the hand sanitizing, the as much social distance as you can, and even as they talked about the schools, now even the schools, when they want them all full back in, and I understand there's a struggle there because there might be a lot of kids, but they've gone down to the 3 feet instead, and they have the technology. You know, I've been at a couple of planning meetings where I'm at home, but then they just elevate me and I can speak. We could still have in person and the Zoom elements to make sure that our constituents are all engaged and participate. So I do think there's a way to do it, and I do believe that Councilor Anderson will work to make sure. And I don't think that he would say we should be going back if he's not satisfied that all the health and safety protocols are in place. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kamel?
Yeah, I do want to echo a few things in terms of my confidence in you, Mr. Council President, in being able to take the input here. But also, I think it's probably prudent to have sort of follow up with some conversations with folks. I mean, there are health issues, and I know we're public figures, but I think if anybody wants to have an opportunity to have that discussion with you privately. But personally, I'll say that my kids have been back in the hybrid public school situation. So I mean, for me, I'm fine. We've been you know, social distancing, but we've been at events with the kids, with scouts and things like that. So it's personally, I'd be back there in a heartbeat. I think we're all extroverts. It's going kind of crazy here, but yeah, I think there's public conversation about it, but also I think, you know, we owe it to each other to let that moment of maybe private conversation happen with the council president, so we can express whatever might be something we don't feel that we want to talk about publicly here. So I just think that'd be the prudent way to do it. That's my opinion.
But you personally, what is your position?
Back in a heartbeat. For me personally, but I don't want to force other people into that. That's my concern.
Yep, I understand. We're just trying to get a sense of the city council. Councilor O'Malley, for the second time.
I just wanted to thank Councilor Condon for his very respectful and middle of the way compromise that he made. You know, I don't think that, you know, as Councilor Sika had said, that it's an all or nothing. You know, I think that's, you know, I don't think that's the way we need to go about this. You know, we've seen people be bullied in other communities around us. You know, in Everett, the city council was bullying, you know, Councilor Gurley, Adrian to come back in. You know, I think people's personal health decisions are their personal health decisions. And, you know, as long as members are participating in a fruitful manner, you know, whether or not they're coming in person or participating remotely, shouldn't matter. So I do appreciate Councilor Condon for you taking that middle of the road approach. And I also have full faith in Council President Anderson in making sure that what we do is fair and equitable for everyone.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. I hear what is being said. I thank you, councilors, for your faith in my fair and equitable decisions, and I will reach out and talk with those, with each of you, as I've tried to do with other things. I hope you have recognized when there have been issues of controversy. I've tried to reach out with and speak with each of you to get your input and then come to a fair and equitable solution. And I will be glad to do that. But there is a resolve on the floor before us. Councilor Spatafora's motion that we pass this, but I do see Councilor Spatafora's hand raised. I'll let you speak for the second time, Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I have two things. So one is I do have a photo, Mr. President, if you want to show the petitions. The second thing is I just want to say, I know we're talking about this resolve, and I will share the photo. The reason why I put the second resolve in, because I received a number of emails from City Hall employees last week, and some that I will be honest with you, I never spoke to, and they were very happy to see us discussing this. In one particular, I don't want to put this individual on the spot, they made a point to say, we had to work through the election. There was no vaccine. So my point is, I cannot even if, I know people have health concerns and I get that and being bullied in, but the same token is the teachers are going back. And if they can't go back, they don't have an option. The fire and the police don't have an option. And at one point, even if you could allow, and I don't want to put Clerk Lucy on the spot, even if you could allow a couple members to work remote, at one point, you have to have people in the office to staff. So for me personally, my father taught me something a long time ago. Don't ask somebody to do something you would never do. So the idea that we opened up City Hall and we don't want to go back until a vaccine, and I think Councilor Murphy made a great point. There are variants all the times, and I think we're trying to do our best. So the reason why the second paper is there is because simply based on some emails from people in City Hall, I feel for them. I do. And I am not better than them, and they're doing yeoman's work. So for me, it's an important vote, and I think it's symbolic, and I'm ready to get back to work. So I just wanted to give you a little reason why the second piece is there. And if you don't mind, I can share what I can share what that plastic petition is going to look like if you can see it. This was sent to me by Eric. I believe that the president has it as well. I happened to be the other day before and they told me they were doing this. This is a petition that's used down by a piece of metal that's weighted. I have another one, but I'm not going to show it because it kind of clearly depicts it. It's enough to give, especially somebody my height and stature, enough room on the high top, right? And you would still wear your mask. And I think to Councilor O'Malley's point, we probably are the biggest body, but I think if you put those petitions in there, it's no different than sitting in a restaurant or going food shopping and waiting in line. So I think this is and this is probably going to be a long-term process, even when everybody gets the vaccine. And for the record, I don't have the vaccine. So I think this is probably going to be something we're going to have for the foreseeable future. It's unfortunate, but that's the way we live in. And so I just wanted to share this picture and at least give you some idea on the second part of my resolve. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak the second time.
Thank you. Would you leave that image up there for a second?
I will.
Take a look at that, folks. I saw that today with Eric. Obviously, it's not a vast outlay of money. Notice how the two persons that are sitting there, they, in addition to being separated as they're facing what would be the audience participating in the council chambers, if they wish to speak with one another, they turn facing one another, and they're still separated by a plexiglass. Plexiglass that they can wear a mask with or not wear a mask with. But I will take into consideration all that you have said, and we'll be looking to get some other input from our public facilities, and we'll go from there. So there is a motion before us by Councilor Spatafora that this resolve is before us. We have a second by, who's seconding that motion? Councilor Seeker is the other sponsor for that. The clerk will call the roll.
Mel.
Yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
Present.
Sika,
Sika.
yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Okay, it's a resolve, the sense of the city council. Thank you. I'll take that under advisement. Thank you very much. Next order of business.
Is paper 12421, so is that moot now, or?
Yes, I would, if it's my resolve, so I'll make a motion to, yes. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thanks, Councilor Powell.
Let me see him, Joe.
I appreciate
Your motion is to dissolve of that paper. Is that right, Councilor Spatafora?
Correct.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that? Let's take a motion for that. We have a second for that. Councilor Sika seconds that.
Yep.
That motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Mel.
Sorry, what is the motion to table it or to?
To remove it.
Yeah, we're
To dissolve.
Yep.
Kamel, yes. Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Yeah.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, no.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Okay, that paper has been removed from the agenda. Next order of business.
Paper 70-20 order be hereby ordained that section 9.28 of the revised ordinances of 2020 be amended as follows. Section A, by amending City of Malden approved trash bags with City of Malden approved trash bag. Such bag to be contained in a trash barrel or in the City of Malden trash barrel affixed with the City of Malden annual trash tag, provided that no trash barrels shall exceed 35 pounds, and adding that such barrels shall be filled in such a way that the cover can be fully closed. Section A, by adding the City of Malden may declare up to 3 trash holidays per week, during which time trash shall be permitted to be placed in containers other than the city-approved trash bags or barrel affixed with annual trash tag, provided that said trash shall always be contained within a closed container. The section titled Mandatory Recycling, by removing any references to recycling bin and replacing with recycling barrel, and by adding the following paragraph in each place of the existing language. Each qualifying household shall be provided with one City of Malden issued recycling barrel. Residents may place all designated recyclables together in the recycling barrel utilizing a single stream recycling method, provided that the barrel shall only be filled in such a way that the cover can be completely closed. Residents may purchase additional recycling barrels from the Department of Public Works or may utilize their own covered recycling barrel for additional recycling materials. Damaged barrels may be turned in for free replacement. Stolen barrels will be replaced with the filing of a police report reporting such theft. Specialized recycling days will be scheduled based upon availability of funding as published by the Department of Public Works. The Department of Public Works shall provide at the city yard during regular hours of operation and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon a facility for recycling of paper, plastic, cans, and bottles. Section C, Section 1, titled Fees, shall be updated as follows. Fees for collection of residential waste, for collection of commercial waste shall be as follows. Approved 35-gallon trash bags, $2. Approved 15-gallon trash bags, $1. Approved 8-gallon trash bags, 50 cents. Annual trash hang tag, $75. White good residential only, $20. Additional recycling of trash barrel at city's actual cost.
For the paper, Councilor Crowe, you're the first name on the sponsor of this?
Oh, she got an ordinance, right?
This is an ordinance. Councilor Spatafora.
If Councilor Crowe wants to speak on it, I have no problem with him.
I'm just looking at the sponsors.
Yeah, you look at the sponsors, correct. Yeah, those are the
I'm seeing that Councilor Crowe is the first person who is the sponsor, so I'll let Councilor Crowe speak on this much needed and much awaited change in our trash and recycling collection.
Well, I wasn't prepared, but
You weren't prepared.
you
want me to do it?
But as unaccustomed as you are to public speaking, you will tell us that the city has been in waiting impatiently for us to do something in improving our trash collection system.
This is long awaited, and we have this in many ways, and so yeah.
So
Everyone's ready for it. Let's move with it.
Councilor Spatafora for the paper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you,
Okay.
Councilor Crowe. I think, as Councilor Anderson said, long awaited. I think this is the best of both worlds. I mean, it was amazing with the outreach that some people wanted to keep their bags, whether because of cost or whether because of just the physicality of their location of their house. You know, geographically, they couldn't bring the barrels up. So this allows you to still keep the bags and also have a barrel, which will provide both a recycling barrel and a full barrel. And if you want to continue using the bags, you have to put those bags inside that barrel. And if you want to buy a trash tag and still have to put all your trash in a bag, but wouldn't have to be a blue bag, it could be your own bag inside that 35-gallon trash bag. So it's really a very unique trash ordinance. In fact, I know, talking to Mr. Hogan, who really helped kind of craft this, other cities are now looking at this optionality. So kudos to the financial team, especially Mr. Hogan and the mayor's office. But long overdue. We're going to update the blue bag trash fees that's been haunted, the council for years. So we're going to have recycling bins that are covered. I know a lot of councils get calls all the time in the windy days. No other prices are changing in terms of the white goods. They are adding those 3 holidays. And you can do mixed recycling now. So a lot of good things in here. If you want to talk about trash, it's pretty good. But certainly answered a lot of questions and checked the box. I'm sure not everybody's happy, but in the same token, though, we feel, at least I feel personally, I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, that this is probably the best ordinance we could have come out with the optionality and the functionality for a community our size. So looking for full support, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor. Before I let anyone jump in here, what was surprising to me is that while we only had the option of the pay-as-you-throw bags and all of the complaints that we heard about those over the years, I would have thought that we would get 100% interest in moving to trash hard barrels with a cover on it. But having community input and having the meetings that took place throughout the city, it was interesting to see the number of people that wanted to stay with the pay-as-you-throw bags. So this idea of those who want to regulate their throwing their trash by buying the blue pay-as-you-throw bags and putting those in the barrel that's going to be free, given to them free, is one way to control your costs. Or you can put a tag on it, pay an annual fee for the tag. So it's the best of both worlds, and I'm pleased that we are at this point. So hands up. I see the first hand up is Councilor Winslow to speak on this paper. Councilor Winslow, you have the floor.
I just want to clarify, we're voting to ordain. We enrolled 2 weeks ago. So
Ordain,
correct.
We're
Yep.
actually going to enroll and ordain it tonight, so it'll come effective. So yes, certainly, I'm supporting moving ahead. This has been something that's been discussed in the city for over 10 years now. I think everybody's looking forward to having those covered barrels and for recycling and trash. So looking forward to that. And I think there's going to be a lot of education. I'm sure all of us are already answering all those questions. So more education out there is needed, but looking forward to getting this rolling as soon as we can today.
Thank you, Councilor Winslow. Councilor Kamel.
Yeah, so I wanted to first of all send my kudos and possibly a lozenge to City Clerk Lucy for his extensive reading of that. That was quite long. I did not envy that. And then also a point of order: would hallelujah be an appropriate or acceptable vote as opposed to yay? I think I've been waiting for this a long time. One of the many benefits is the reduction of the waste on the ground getting blown around. That leads to I think we've seen quite a bit of
Councilor Kamel, would you hold on a second? Who was it that got family talking in the background here?
All right, bud, I'm just finishing up with my contract. Yeah.
I think that's Council Connie. I think it's Council Connie. I think it's Gene. I think they're booking trips to Encore.
Is that what it is? Well, whoever that is, can you either mute your microphone or mute your family? Thank you. Councilor Kamel, would you continue, please?
Anyways, I was very near the end. I just wanted to say I would be glad to get to reduce some of the rodents that we've seen, especially over some of the past few summers. It's been quite an issue, and I'm glad that we're going to have these covered barrels amongst many other benefits. So, amen and hallelujah, and thanks everybody for who's worked on this.
So Councilor Kamel asked for an amen. Can we get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I mean, and all God's people said, amen.
That was good.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on the paper? I happen to have had the misfortune, I think, of having a very windy day last Tuesday when the trash was blowing all over the street, and the best I could tell my constituents is that the containers are coming with the lids on them. They'll be here shortly, and they've been saying, "Counselor, we've been hearing you tell us that for a long time, and we're right here, with this paper before us, ready to be ordained." So I think we're all very pleased with that. So on Councilor Spatafora's motion to ordain
Second.
this paper, the second by Councilor Peg Crow, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
DeMaria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Malley, yay.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafor,
Spatafor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
amen. Yes. So that paper has been ordained by the full city council. Wonderful. We ought to give ourselves a clap for that one, huh? What do you think? All right, next order of business.
The committee reports, paper 125-21, rules and ordinance, paper 85-21, order that the city submit to the Massachusetts legislature for passage in substantially the following form: an act relative to the preparation of certain bilingual ballots in the city of Malden, be enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives in general court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1, as used in this act, transliteration shall mean the translation into the relevant Chinese characters to represent the phonetic equivalent of the symbols of an English name or name in a language that is not traditionally written using Chinese characters. Section 2, notwithstanding the provisions of any general or special state law to the contrary, in any election which the state secretary or the city clerk is required by federal law to print bilingual English and Chinese ballots for use by voters of the city, the state secretary or city clerk, as the case may be, shall also provide for the transliteration of all candidates' names. Each candidate shall be provided with a written copy of the proposed transliteration of that candidate's name and may, within 7 days, request in writing any modification to the proposed transliteration, or may decline to have the candidate's own name transliterated on the ballot. The transliteration shall be subject to final approval by the state secretary or city clerk, as the case may be. The state secretary or city clerk shall provide public notice of transliterated names as soon as practicable. Section 3, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, the city in any primary or state or federal election shall be responsible for the cost of transliteration, and the state secretary shall be responsible for all other costs resulting from the implementation of the act, including without limitation the production of ballots. Section 4 of the act shall take upon its passage. And there was an amendment made in committee that potential candidates will be able to get their names, translated names approved as early as January 1st.
On Councilor Spatafora's motion that we receive the committee report. Clerk will call the roll.
Kamel,
Well, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Committee report is before us. Councilor Spatafora for the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President Anderson. I don't want to, certainly go through that lengthy reading that the clerk did, but this is really the great work of both the clerk, Clerk Lucy, and the mayor's office that have been pushing this pretty hard. And I think we debated it long and hard last week. Winslow had an amendment, but I think after everybody reading that, it is to make the ballots bilingual. There are certainly some challenges there with translation into characters. I believe there's a couple funny blurbs from last week, but I think the full council supports this. It's great for the city of Malden to be on that short list if approved, and I look forward to the council's full support on this important document as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor O'Malley.
I'm in support of this. I do want to clarify, it is optional, and you do have the option to pick what your transliterated name would be. I've already been working on it. I got a few options. And, I know a lot of us asked to co-sponsor this, but I don't see our names on here. Clerk Lucy, would you ensure that at least my name is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize for that. That was on us. When the agenda, I should have said that in the beginning, that it was pretty much the full council that wanted to be co-sponsors, and all those names will go on the.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I don't see any other hands raised. On Councilor Spatafora's motion to adopt the order, clerk will call the roll.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
DeMaria, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That order has been adopted by the full city council. Next order of business.
Paper 126-21, Committee Report Finance. Paper 465-20, order that is authorized under the City of Malden Charter, Section 14, that the City Council appoint Controller Charles Ranigan, 140 Oakland Street, Malden, Mass, as Controller, Chief Financial Officer with the funding at the M3 Step 10 level.
Motion to receive the committee report.
On Councilor Murphy's motion that we receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Committee report is received. Councilor Murphy for the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to start this off, as you'll all know, Personnel and Appointment Chair, Councilor Crow, asked to read the personnel and appointments. We held out 109-21. That's because that was appointing Mr. Ranigan to controller. This paper is basically appointing Mr. Ranigan as controller/CFO. So we only need one of the two papers. So we'd like to deal with the committee report first, as it is one position, not two. And then if the paper, the Finance Committee paper passes this evening, paper 109-21 will be withdrawn. So just to kind of put that out in perspective to everybody here. When most of you were in finance, when we had this discussion, which was great last week, this particular paper did get reported out of finance favorably last week, and we would hope that the full city council would support it this evening. As you know, Mr. Ranigan, our current controller, has really been in the position of CFO as defined by the charter since the time that Mr. Grover and Mr. Kramer, our treasurer and our city assessor, were appointed. He has been acting in that role by mentoring them, working with them on department changes, also working with all of our outside audit teams and dealing with the DOR on a daily basis. So he has, I think we've seen him rise to the challenge. This isn't like hiring someone new that we're going to have to see how they work out. We have had 9 months to see that Mr. Ranigan has worked very hard in this role, even though he hadn't technically been appointed to it. I think that's one of the great things that sometimes happens in a private sector. You get to see somebody operate, and then you can actually reward them by giving them the appointment. So I'm hoping that we will all, have seen Mr. Ranigan's hard work over these past 9 months and be willing to move this paper forward. As you all know, the CFO, in the charter, it allows the city council to appoint someone that's in the position of one of our financial positions, the treasurer, the assessor, or the controller, to a quasi, to be the CFO and also retain the current position that they hold. So as I said, this was reported out favorably. We had a lot of discussion. There were a lot of wonderful comments about Mr. Ranigan's performance from those on the committee and those who attended the committee meeting off committee. My suggestion here this evening is that what we do is that we appoint Mr. Ranigan as the CFO controller of the city of Malden, effective the date that his last appointment was expiring, which is December 23rd, I believe, 2020. That does mean that he would obviously be retroactively paid for doing that job for the past 2 months. But I don't think we should nickel and dime him at this point, seeing as how he's been doing it for free for probably 9 months. So with that, I would make a motion, obviously open to hear any comments anyone might have, but I would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Ranigan as our CFO controller for the city of Malden.
Second.
So we have a motion before us by Councilor Murphy, seconded by Councilor DiMaria. Let's have some discussion on that. Councilor DiMaria has her hand raised. Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to our finance chair, Councilor Murphy. It was a favorable response from finance, but I just have to add, it was a unanimous, not just favorable, it was completely unanimous for Mr. Ranigan to accept this position and us to accept it as well. So thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? I don't see any other hands raised. From the chair, I'll say that it's been wonderful to see Chuck Ranigan, who some of us saw coming on as a junior person in this controller's office, who has certainly demonstrated an amazing ability to find money for us, to control our accounts, to control our spending, and has done a yeoman's job and is, by all indications, as he's been doing this double job of not only the comptroller, but also the CFO, will continue to do a good job for the city. So I'm sure that the same kind of vote that he got out of the Finance Committee will resonate here in the full council. And so with the motion on the floor, I strongly endorse that and ask the clerk if he'll please call the roll.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DiMaria.
DiMaria, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Betafora.
Betafora, yes.
Winslow.
He's muted.
Winslow, yes.
And Anderson.
Anderson, yes. So the vote to move Chuck Ranigan into the position of comptroller / CFO has been adopted. And congratulations, Chuck Ranigan, and thank you, councilors. I see a couple of hands raised that would like to speak on that after the motion has been made. Councilor Sika, we'll let you go first.
I actually was hoping for personal privilege. I'm a little ahead.
Oh, you jumping the gun on personal privilege. Okay. Chuck, I guess you got all your accolades. Okay, one more item. Okay. Say Chuck has got his accolades last week, and we'll let Councilor Condon speak. Councilor Condon, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this isn't about Chuck Ranigan, but Tonight we met in license, and I'd like to ask the council if I can move to rescind docket rules for purposes of granting, because we had a license, Sager, at 449 Ferry Street that was on the table due to an incomplete application, but it's all been cleared up. It was just the paperwork was misplaced. So I'd like to suspend docket rules so that we can grant this license, because they have a dealer plate that they're trying to get and they need the paperwork by the end of this week. So if possible, I would move that we grant this license under suspension of docket rules.
Councilor Murphy?
Mr. President, we can let Councilor Condon finish with that. I wanted to just make sure that we disposed of paper 109.21 in the appropriate fashion before we ended the meeting tonight.
Okay, surely we will. Back to Councilor Condon's motion that we suspend docket rules for the purposes of handling this license committee paper that wasn't handled. On the councilor's motion to suspend docket rules, clerk, call the roll.
Kamel.
Yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
Present.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Docket rules are suspended.
I move
Councilor
that we
Condon.
grant.
Second.
On Councilor Condon's motion to grant the license, seconded by Councilor Sika, the clerk will call the roll.
Kamel.
Yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. That license has been granted by the full city council. Next order of business. We want to go back to that other paper?
Back to paper, yeah, go back to paper 109-21. Council appointment, Charles Rannigan, 140 Oakland Street, Malden, controller accounts, term to expire December 31st, 2023.
So on Councilor Murphy, that was, you wanted to take that from the table? I mean, you wanted to remove that from the agenda?
I do believe, yes, I would think, I defer to Councilor Crowe, but I would think if you remove the paper from personnel and appointments, as personnel and appointments chair, that would be appropriate.
Yes, so make a motion to remove that item from the docket.
Okay.
So on Councilor Crow's motion, seconded by Councilor Murphy, Councilor Sika has her hand up.
No, that was must have been from
Oh,
before.
you're going to get first on personal privilege, Councilor.
I never took it down. I didn't see it anymore though, so I apologize. I thought it was gone.
On the motion to remove from the agenda, clerk will call the roll.
Kamel. Kamel.
Yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. Pass for the full city council. Next order of business.
Docket is clear.
The docket is clear. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak on personal privilege?
I would.
Sika does.
Oh, yeah, you did have your hand up, and you had your... Councilor Sika, we'll let you go first.
I apologize. I was being a little...
No apology necessary, my dear.
Earlier. Thank you, Council President. I don't know about all of you, but I cannot wait until the day that we don't have to do a roll call on every single vote.
You.
I think that in itself is a reason to get back inside the council chamber. It makes the meetings so much longer than they need to be. But I was hoping, Council President, that we could have a moment of silence. I found out right before the meeting that one of our longtime Linden Ward 8 residents and families, the Davola family from Maynard Street, Beverly, their mother passed away today. They've lived on Maynard Street for about 69 years. I've only had the pleasure of knowing Beverly since I became a city councilor, and I'm going to miss her. I had a little bond with Beverly, and I'm going to miss her sending me Facebook messages, asking me when the barrels are coming and, you know, what's going on in her street. She liked to tell me all kinds of, you know, information that was happening around her house and, you know, if there was anything that I could do about it. So I was just hoping that we could all take a moment of silence for Beverly Davola and the Davola family.
Thank you. All rise for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody tomorrow.
Thank you. Councilor Winslow.
Well, someone stole the thunder of that one on St. Patrick's Day. Certainly, my great-grandmother, Nora O'Donoghue of Patrick, Ireland, would not let me pass without saying something about the happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. And I also I had Lisa Cagno distribute a first list of spring cleanups. So I just asked that all of my fellow councilors take a look at that. I have some dates and times from people. If you just double check those, and also a few more to get from people. So if you have some more ideas from dates or times, just like to get that out there. And I'm gonna check in with Bobby Knox and then get that up on the city's website and get word out to people. So looking forward to actually. There seems to be a lot of interest. I'm already getting inquiries of people just wanting to do it. So I've already done a couple of cleanups just kind of offhand from new residents who just want to get out there and clean up. So take advantage of that. There's a lot of interest. I think people, one thing they want to do post-COVID is to get out and clean up Malden. And so take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Winslow. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Council President. Again, not to reiterate, but wishing everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. Make sure to go down to Hugh O'Neill's and grab a Guinness or lunch and dinner. I'm sure I'll see Councilor Kamel down there from that reaction. Maybe. My personal favorite is the beef stew. If you can't make it, go buy a gift card. Support your local businesses. Next week, our economic development guru, Kevin Duffy, is organizing a meeting for the local rapid recovery program, which will help bring Malden back from the COVID-19 crisis. There are some grants available, so we're focusing on, and the administration is focusing on how to make sure that we come back strong. Lastly, last week, we had a community meeting for transit signal prioritization and the Center Street or Route 60 bus and bike accommodations. It was very well attended. Over 30, almost 40 people, if not 40 people attended. We also had a traffic commission meeting on it. And we will be having a city council meeting to discuss this particular project. Really looking forward to having more public engagement and engaging all my fellow councilors in that process. Thank you all for the support, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to tell everyone a very happy St. Patrick's Day. I think tomorrow everybody has a little bit of Irish in them, and I hope we all enjoy it. on a personal note, I do want to express something that's a little serious to me. On February 20th, I filed an open meeting law complaint against a fellow colleague in Ward 8. It really broke my heart to do this. But today I did receive correspondence at 5 o'clock that this will be addressed in our license committee next week, March 23rd. So I really do encourage each and every one of my colleagues to join in. And I do want to be clear about this. No one wants to believe that this allegation against Councilor Seeger was intentional, especially me. No one wants to sidetrack the work of the City Council that we do every week, especially me. But what I do believe is this is not tattling, but rather my attempt to make us better public servants. No one should disregard the law. We should never be too busy to do that. And actually, just like in sports, there are rules of the game and they must be followed. And I think we all agree that's what the residents of Malden deserve. So thank you for this personal privilege, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Councilor Spatafora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to wish everybody happy St. Patrick's Day. There is no green in me. There is a little green in my kids. They got my wife's mother's maiden name was Mulcahy. So there are sometimes decorations in the house, which I have some choice words, but happy St. Patrick's Day for everybody. And enjoy the day and be safe and be merry. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. I'm going to go back to Councilor Seeger in a second, but let me tell you that one of the things that I'm really gonna miss this year is the Democratic City Committee's annual St. Patrick's Day breakfast that always took place at the Irish American Club. And even those of us who have more pigment in our skin than the rest of you have a little Irish in us. And I always look forward to going to that event. Now, having said that, I will tell you that the first person in our family out of slavery was my grandfather's cousin, whose name was John Fitzpatrick. And so for many years, we would have an annual Fitzpatrick family reunion. And we would have these reunions in different locations throughout the country. One of the relatives would sponsor, like black families do throughout the country. We have these family reunions where the family comes back together and celebrates and so forth. So we would have this first person in our family out of slavery was John Fitzpatrick, and he was my grandfather's second cousin, my grandfather's cousin, and he had a number of children that would, after his death, would continue to keep his legacy alive. Well, one year we hosted the Fitzpatrick family reunion here in the Boston area. My brothers and sisters and all would meet at my house and we'd plan the activities of the family coming in from all over the country to come to the Fitzpatrick family reunion here in Malden, Massachusetts. And we made reservations up at the hotel, which is, I think it's now a Holiday Inn. It was the Hampton Inn that was going through a transition. And so the room rate was a great room rate. We were able to make reservations for 100 people coming in, and we did all of our communicating with the hotel over the telephone. And so you could imagine the surprise on the hotel face when 100 black people coming in with the name of Fitzpatrick to come in for Anderson for the Fitzpatrick family reunion. And so that may not be funny to you, but I thought that was funny, and that's my story for you all about the Fitzpatrick family reunion and St. Patrick's Day. In addition to the celebration of St. Patrick's Day, Ward 7 is going to celebrate the Easter Bunny coming up soon. I'm hoping that on the 27th of March, which is a Saturday, I'm saying it now because we won't have a full public, full city council meeting before that. We're hoping to bring the Easter Bunny throughout the neighborhood as we do each year. We've set it for the 27th because, much of this is weather dependent. And if the weather is bad, we've got a couple of fall dates, either the next day or the next weekend, of trying to get it in before Easter. So we'll be making more announcements about that Easter Bunny coming here to Ward 7. I see a couple of other hands raised. I'm going to go to Councilor Sika next. Go right ahead, Councilor Sika.
Great. Thank you, Council President Anderson. I'd like to discuss what Councilor DiMaria just had mentioned. And although it breaks her heart, I'm sure she loved to do it, because for some reason, this is absolutely crazy to me that you know I unintentionally violated, but you still had to call me out. Clearly, I'm doing better than you, that you need to come at me at this way. But you talk about how everybody should follow the rules. You should stop practicing what you preach, Councilor DiMaria, because you have not been always following the rules either, okay? Actually, this past weekend, you posted a picture of yourself getting a vaccine on February 20th. And if I'm correct, you weren't 75 years old. So Councilor O'Malley insinuated that one of us may have jumped the line last week, when in fact you and your husband might have jumped the line on February 20th, okay? And you forget in 2018, when you were the council president, that you, me, and 3 others—
Council President,
no,
point of order.
Maria.
Council President, point of order.
Councilor DiMaria, state your point of order.
I think this is a personal bash, and I don't think there's any need for this.
And you
I did not do this, Council President.
Councilor DiMaria, I am going to finish.
This is personal privilege.
You blatantly violated the open meeting law for the whole year of 2018 by every other Tuesday morning. 5 of us would sit on a meeting and go agenda item for agenda item and discuss what was going to be addressed at that evening's meeting. So you want it's funny how this
really isn't flattering of you as a counselor.
Flattering of me. You want to bring me out for all the wrongdoings that I'm doing, but it's okay for you to do whatever you want.
It was an open meeting law complaint, Counselor.
Absolutely.
Okay, out of order.
I'm going to let you both speak. Councilors, please both stop, because I'm going to let you both speak if you'd like. This is personal privilege. But one at a time.
All I'm saying, Councilor DiMaria, is it's funny how it's okay for you to be able to violate the open meeting laws. But when it comes to me, you have to put it out in the open and have everybody see me for who I am. What? I'm human. People make mistakes. I sent an email by accident. I wasn't thinking. But it's okay for everybody. If you think that I'm thinking that you're not doing this with your new little group, then you're crazy. You are all probably violating open meeting laws as well, just like we did back in 2018. Okay? We definitely were violating something. There was at least five of us on that phone call. There was at least 5 of us on that phone call back in 2018 while you were the council president. So for somebody who wants to follow the rules, you should really practice what you preach. I'm done, Councilor Anderson. Thank you.
Councilor DiMaria, or is anyone else wishing to add for more personal privilege? With that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
Motion to adjourn.
Someone, please give me a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
On Councilor Condon's motion that we adjourn, seconded by Councilor DiMaria. The clerk will please call the roll.
Kamel.
Looks like he already adjourned.
He's already checked out, huh?
Wow, that was quick.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DiMaria.
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley. O'Malley. Seeker,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Better, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes. We stand adjourned.